like us on Facebook.
Sharing. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Hi, I'm Fire Chief Rob Simons, President of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, urging you to stay safe at home for the holidays. Install smoke and carbon monoxide alarms on every story and test them to make sure they work. Replace smoke alarms over 10 years old and carbon monoxide alarms over 7 years old. Be sure everyone knows how to get out if there is a fire. Please stay safe and visit safeathome.ca for more tips. Happy holidays.
Message from the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs with support from Kidde Canada.
This portion of Shaw TV programming is sponsored by Petland.
Welcome to your Christmas forecast on Shaw TV. I'm meteorologist Cradle. Whether you just want to know what the weather's like, if you're going to be traveling, maybe seeing a white Christmas or not on the West Coast, it is going to be a white Christmas. Vancouver, Christmas Eve day, seeing the showers at 8 degrees, but into the prairies, it will be clear skies above seasonal temperatures. Calgary on Saturday, 7, 4 for Edmonton, 2 for Winnipeg. Into the east, cooler temperatures, still seeing that sun for Ottawa and Montreal, -10 and -12. Christmas Day, we will be seeing the snow in that region. That's where you will have to be for your white Christmas. Same for the East Coast as well. Montreal -4, Ottawa -2. Seeing that snow into the prairies, not seeing the white Christmas out there. Winnipeg 2 degrees, Saskatoon 5, but look at that, Calgary 7 degrees with the sun. Edmonton 5 degrees, and Vancouver back to the rain as we go throughout much of the weekend into Boxing Day as well. 7 degrees for a high and rain throughout the west coastal regions.
Welcome to Shaw TV's coverage of the annual lighting of the Calgary Community Menorah, an event that celebrates Hanukkah, the Festival of Light. Throughout the world, in great cities and small villages, the lamplighters kindle menorahs, in many cases towering giant menorahs in public places for all to see. The lights of the menorah are more than a reminder of ancient miracles. They are meant to provide inspiration and illumination in our daily lives. Shaw TV is proud to be a part of the celebration, and we are pleased to present this special live broadcast from the Municipal Building.
Thank you very much, and shalom everyone. Happy Hanukkah, and thank you all for coming tonight and joining us live on Shaw Television and all around the world on the internet. And welcome to the 23rd Annual Calgary Community Menorah Lighting. We have several honorable dignitaries joining us tonight. Please join me in welcoming them, and I kindly ask that the dignitaries please rise after being mentioned. And audience, if you could hold your applause until after we're done naming all the dignitaries. So, with that, Alderman Richard Prootmans, representing the Jewish Historical Society of Southern Alberta, Mrs. Betty Sherwood, and Mr. Jim Casconet, Temple B'nai Tikva, Dr. Rosalind Mendelson, the Little Synagogue on the Prairie Project at Heritage Park, Irina Karstenbaum, Dorit Moise, representing Na'amat Canada and the Beth Tzedek Sisterhood, from the State of Israel Bonds, Phyllis DeGuire, from Chabad Lubavitch of Alberta, Daniel and Adina Shimonov, and Avriel and Rivka Gafni, Rabbi Miller and Nelson Halpern from the House of Jacob, Rabbi Safran from Calgary Kollel, representing the Jewish War Veterans of Canada, Commander Zeke Litwack, Dr. Ben Grintunk and his wife Jacqueline of Jewish Family Services, from the Jewish Community Foundation, Mrs. Bettina Zeisler, Mr. Ben and Tamara Carmel from the Calgary Jewish Academy, Friends of Calgary Chabad, Dr. Leonard Smith and Mr. Murray Robbins, from Akiva Academy, Rabbi Chaim Greenwald, Rabbi Mordechai Groner of the Calgary Jewish Learning Institute, representing Hillel Students Association, Kira Bloomer, Mr. and Mrs. Janine Krusky from the Calgary Jewish Center, representing Hever Kadisha, Mr. Lou Bracey, City of Calgary Alderman Shane Keating, Jim Stevenson, Andre and Mrs. Chabot, Gail McLeod, and Diane Colley-Urquhart. Representing our federal government is MP Mr. Lee Richardson. From the Office of the Premier, Stephen Shapiro and Ray Barberio, Cecil Girard of Wood Creek Community Association. Representing the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, Aaron Miller. Constable Kelly Mergen, representing the Calgary Police Service. From the Calgary Jewish Federation, Drew and Ronnie Staffenberg, Judy Shapiro, Mr. Adam Singer, and his wife, Marg Semmel. Representing the Alberta Legislature, the Honorable Dave Rodney, Kent Hare, Harry Chase, the Honorable Jonathan Dennis, Paul Hinman, and Teresa Wupaw. Representing the Alberta Human Rights Commission, the Honorable Blair Mason. From the Calgary Police Service, Deputy Chief Murray Stuke, Chief Bruce Burrell of the Calgary Fire Department, Aaron Eichler, our Minister without a portfolio, the Honorable Premier Alison Redford, Directors of Chabad Lubavitch of Alberta, Rebbetzin Rochel Madasov, and her husband, Senior Rabbi of Alberta, Rabbi Menachem Madasov, Honorable Minister Jason Kenney, His Worship Calgary Mayor Nahid Nenshi, and finally, our honorees of this evening, Mr. Harold Finkelman and Dr. Beth Hedva. Thank you all for being here. You may be seated. We appreciate your support. We'd also like to introduce our terrific band, Take the Oi Train, who have been involved for the past 21 years. 21 years they've been involved with the community Menorah Lighting. Led by Florence Shoestack and our guest singer Arnold Dvorkin, they will now lead us in singing a song which describes how wonderful it is for the whole community to be gathered in peace and harmony. Ladies and gentlemen, Hinei Matov. Excellent. Thank you very much. And shalom again, my friends. Happy Hanukkah. My name is Josh Groberman. I should introduce myself. Some of you may remember I used to do the helicopter reports on Calgary television. And if you don't remember that, it's okay. You weren't missing very much. Hanukkah is a wonderful celebration of lights. It's the only holiday with a message that includes the entire community. A message of freedom, democracy, and appreciation of diversity. And every year, this message and this night hold great significance to myself and my family. And I'm proud to say that I'm actually a descendant of pioneers of the Jewish community and the Calgary community. My great-great-grandfather and his sons immigrated to Calgary 107 years ago in 1904, and when they arrived, they worked tirelessly on building a community that's one of the most vibrant and accepting communities in the world. And it's nice to be a part of an event which every year continues to enlighten and strengthen the city. And with that, I'm pleased to introduce our first speaker. He is a key part of an organization which has been a vital part of the Jewish community in Calgary. Please welcome Calgary Jewish Federation President Adam Singer.
Good evening. Mayor Nenshi, members of City Council, Premier Redford, the Honorable Jason Kenny, Rabbi Matisoff, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, friends. I am honored to bring Hanukkah greetings on behalf of Calgary Jewish Federation. During the Hanukkah festival, thousands of candles are kindled in menorahs throughout Calgary. Millions more across Canada and throughout the world cast a comforting glow during winter's darkest days. On Hanukkah, we recall the Maccabees' successful revolt against the forces of assimilation, and we rededicate ourselves to making a brighter world. Freedom of conscience and belief is a central theme of Hanukkah. We equate such freedom with light and joy, while its absence is signified by darkness and misery. We are truly blessed to live in a city, a province, and a country where diversity is valued and celebrated, where we are free to lead our lives according to our beliefs and traditions, and to share the richness of our heritage with neighbors and friends. On each night of Hanukkah, we light an additional candle until 8 candles brightly burn. This reminds us of the light we can collectively shine into our homes, our neighborhoods, and our world. Toda Rabbah to Chabad Lubavitch for bringing us together in celebration of Hanukkah as proud Calgarians, Albertans, and Canadians. And thank you, Mayor Nenshi and the City of Calgary for again opening the doors of City Hall to this community menorah lighting. Happy Hanukkah to all members of the Jewish community, and the warmest wishes to all of our friends and neighbors for a happy holiday season. May 2012 be filled with health, happiness, freedom, and peace. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Singer. I'd now like to turn your attention to the fine young individuals behind me, the Calgary Jewish Academy Choir. I was there actually about 14 or 15 years ago. If you were here at the time, you probably remember that I didn't sound very pleasant. But I promise they're much better. So, ladies and gentlemen, conducted by Avi Sherman, the CJA Choir will perform Menorah Lighting. Children, you all did an excellent job. It's an absolute pleasure to invite up our next speaker. He's a man of great integrity and deep values, and he's been a champion of human rights, freedom of religion, and he's been a great supporter of the Jewish community. I'm pleased to welcome our Minister of Citizenship, Immigration, and Multiculturalism, the Honorable Representative for Calgary Southeast, Mr. Jason Kenney.
Rabbi Matusov, Premier, Your Worship, elected colleagues, community leaders, Shalom, Chag Hanukkah Shemeach, Happy Hanukkah. On behalf of the Government of Canada and our Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Stephen Harper, who will be participating in a candle lighting ceremony on the 22nd, I am delighted to join with you in this magnificent Calgary tradition of all Calgarians joining with the Jewish community in prayerful solidarity in this ancient commemoration of the victory of the Maccabees and the dedication of the Second Temple, which represents, in a way, the victory of light over darkness. When the Second Temple was dedicated and the temple lanterns were lit and burned for 8 days, it reminded us that the Jewish people have always been faithful to the ancient covenant and that God has always been faithful to them. It reminded us that light can shine out even at times of great darkness. And in the world today, we need such encouragement. And so we thank all members of the Calgary Jewish community, especially Chabad Lubavitch, for having made Hanukkah a Canadian celebration, for bringing the light of Hanukkah to all Canadians of all faith backgrounds and all different cultural backgrounds in a wonderful expression of Canada's pluralism. So again, we join with you in celebrating tonight's lighting of the menorah, as we will be lighting menorahs all across Canada. In fact, last week I was honored to join with Chabad in lighting a sort of a preview of the menorah lighting on Parliament Hill. And we're delighted to be here for the real deal here tonight in Calgary. So to all of you, especially in the Jewish community, we wish you a happy, peaceful, prayerful family celebration of this ancient tradition, this celebration of the continuity of God's favor for the Jewish people and the victory of the Maccabees in what is the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem. Chag Hanukkah Shemeach, Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenney. I'd now like to invite up a very good friend and mentor of mine, and he's a gentleman who's been an important part of the Menorah Lighting since its inception. Aaron Eichler will draw 2 raffle tickets for children to be the winners of Israeli bonds, which were graciously donated by Leonard and Fagel Shapiro. After Mr. Eichler does the draw, our wonderful young voices from the CJA choir will lead us in singing Light One Candle. Aaron, come on up.
Hey, I clap up my bum. Good. It is my pleasure. Although Mayor Nishnayas said that you'll do a good job last year, you're going to do it again this year. Please forgive me. We have the Premier here. I'm sitting next to her, and so I owe you one. It is my pleasure to call now to make 2 draws for 2 State of Israel bonds donated by Leonard and Fagel Shapiro. And so, Honorable Premier, please close your eyes. One, very good one. My name? No, it's not my name. Take the other one. Okay. From the CJA, Noah Paul. And again from the CJA, Brock Sidorsky. Come on up, come on up. Oh, they're both in the choir. Here, Director of State of Israel Bonds Phyllis is presenting to you. You give us a letter, and we will send you the $100 and $100 for you. Thank you very much. Let's take a picture. Okay, turn around this way. There it is. Yeah. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Children, give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when the right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. And light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand.
Thank you again, children. As we're getting ready to light the menorah, I'd like to introduce a mother of 9 beautiful children and 2 grandchildren. She's the co-founder, associate, and program director of Chabad Lubavitch, Alberta. And in addition to her busy schedule, she's also the director of a newly founded and growing Friendship Circle of Calgary, a program that connects teenagers with special needs children. She's been an integral part of the outreach and charitable programs for Chabad in Calgary. Please join me in welcoming Rebbetzin Rochel Madasov.
Thank you very much. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our very special Menorah Lighting honoree, Mr. Harold Finkelman. Harold has been described as a scientifically empowered designer and communication consultant, a researcher, and a lecturer on the subject of design psychology, communication psychology, and psychodynamics, the science of human response. His experience includes years as a journalist with Albertan and an international correspondent for Reuters New York. He has produced television programs for CITV, now Global TV, CBC, and Thames Television in London, England. He has also worked as a creative director, media strategist, designer, project manager, and as an academic. A consultant to design houses, ad agencies, architects, corporations, and individuals. Harold's work in communication and design psychology has been published in academic journals, and he had published 5 books on a wide range of subjects. Harold has presented his research and workshops at conferences around the world, as far as the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia. And he is a member of the Board of Governors for the International Council of Integrative Medicine. Throughout his life, Harold has contributed significantly through his volunteer efforts on various boards and organizations, including Senior Chair of Canadian Institute for Transpersonal and Integrative Sciences, Senior Associate, Calgary Exhibition and Stampede, National Communications Chairman, Jewish Immigrant Aid Service, Vice Chairman, Exodus House for Street Children, Calgary Jewish Community Council, World Cup Downhill, International Native Arts Festival, the list goes on, Chabad Lubavitch of Alberta, For the Love of Children Society, Jewish Family Services, Calgary Boys Choir, and for many of us, both here and for our viewing audience, Harold is the face of the Calgary Community Menorah Lighting Ceremony. Harold is the co-founder of the Calgary Community Menorah, starting from the original design and creation of the menorah at Heritage Park to the program we have here tonight at the heart of our city. Harold was the program producer and served as the MC for 21 years. Without Harold's efforts, the Menorah Lighting would not be the success it is today. As well, Harold has pioneered some very unique and innovative programs. One that comes to mind is his efforts with our children's camp, Camp Gan Israel. Harold worked to partner Camp Gan Israel with a local First Nations camp. Together, the campers learned about each other's cultures, shared exciting programs, and then the children got together to make what we think is the first, kosher bannock and Indian challah. I remember how all the children were so thrilled with the exchange. And this was just another effort created and spearheaded by Harold. We have learned much from you over the years, Harold. You're a great mentor. You have taught us well, and we are proud to educate the next generation to follow in your footsteps, and hopefully with God's help, expand all our programs even further. We look forward to your further guidance, input over many, many years to come. May you always stay in good health and spirit and continue to be an inspiration to us all. As a very unusual act in this program, let's all stand up and give a very, very big welcome and round of applause to our own very special dear friend, Harold Finkelman.
Thank you very much, Rachel, Menachem. Anyone who knows Rachel and Menachem of being part of this organization at all knows what a pleasure it is to work with them. I was only working with them, and it was such a privilege through this all. Now, there's been so many speakers, I don't have much time, but for my role, I have so many to thank for it, because it wasn't me. Because for the past 21 years, when I made a phone call, nobody said no. David Sussman and the Calgary Philharmonic, the Calgary Boys Choir, Sheldon Nadler, the Royal Conservatory, the Calgary Fiddlers, Harris Dvorkin, Jeff Bradshaw, Arnold and Aaron. Wow, you guys are just great. Flows Take the Oi Train, Alan Miravitz's wonderful Klezmorium, wonderful community school choirs. All of you kids have been great. All of you children have been so important. And there's so many more I can't mention. The Shaw family has been a blessing for our whole community. I'm here, and we are all here because we have the support of the community. And thank you, Shaw, for Jim Cummings. And Al Doer, you'll always have my vote. All of you answered when I call. And it's a pleasure to see Calgary's amazing 22nd century mayor and our breakthrough premier. They're taking us into this next generation. That makes me feel great. It's easy to retire from this role. So while my deepest gratitude must go to Rachel and Menachem and their families who invited me to become part of this, and my loving wife, Dr. Beth Hedva, who kept me alive and happy through it all, my biggest thanks goes to the people who really are responsible for this, and it's all of you. Each one of you organizations that has come out here, each one of you individuals, each one of you citizens of the community that are here, you are the ones that made this. You are the blessing. The magic is you. You are the magic. It's been an honor. I love you all.
The shamash candle. This is known as the servant candle because its fire is what we use to kindle all the other candles, one for each night. Our premier is kindling the light and is handing it over to our mayor, who lights the shamash. The important role of the shamash candle is significant, and we always make sure it stands out from the other candles. As you can see, is the candle on the far left. Now the mayor will hand it to our honoree, Mr. Finkelman, who will recite the blessings, kindle tonight's candle, the first light of Hanukkah, and the blessings will be translated. First blessing. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah light. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who performed miracles for our forefathers in those days at this time. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this occasion. And I would ask you to look at the programs, page 2, and we're all going to recite the Haneras Halalu in English. We kindle these lights, please read together, to commemorate the saving acts, miracles, and wonders which you have performed for our forefathers in those days at this time through your holy Kohanim. Throughout the 8 days of Hanukkah, these lights are sacred, and we are not permitted to make use of them, but only to look at them, in order to offer thanks and praise to your great name, for your great miracles, for your wonders, and for your salvations. And now we'll hear the traditional Mausur that will be sang by the Akiva Academy Choir.
Excellent. Thank you to everybody. Premier Redford, you did an excellent job. Mayor Nenshi, as usual. Harold. Okay, and thank you to Akiva Academy Choir, led by Rabbi Chaim Greenwald and Mordechai Rose. You did an excellent job. I'd now like to invite up a man who has done extraordinary work for the Jewish community in Calgary. Rabbi Matisov is the co-founder of Chabad Lubavitch, Alberta, an organization who strives to commit countless acts of charity and goodness. Rabbi Matisov bought the Menorah Lighting in Calgary 23 years ago. Since then, it has expanded to Edmonton, where several hundred are celebrating at the legislature. It has become immensely popular on television, on the internet. The Prime Minister now participates in an event annually. And next door in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon, they're celebrating their first community menorah lighting with a 19-foot-high menorah. And this is amazing growth, and it would not have been possible without Rabbi Matisov's tireless efforts. And I'd also like to point out, he's a very nice guy, he's a bright man, he's got a great sense of humor. So please join me in welcoming Rabbi Menachem Matisov.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to make some jokes or... Thank you, Josh. Thank you all for being here in person or watching on Shah TV or on the internet. Good evening and happy Hanukkah to all. 2,175 years ago, a handful of people headed by one family, the Hashmonaim, or known as the Maccabees, had a dream. Their dream was that they will stand up against the mighty ruling power of the ancient Greeks who tortured and oppressed the Jews, who all they wanted was to practice their religion freely. This group, who were very few, took action, materialized their dream, fought for it, and God helped them. They won the war, and succeeded in bringing freedom to the Jews and the world. This is the story of Hanukkah. This is the historical event we're celebrating tonight. In the Middle Ages and in most recent communist regime, Jews were lighting their menorahs, celebrating the freedom of the past and the freedom of the future, even though they themselves did not have freedom. They had to hide and kindle their candles of hope and determination. But they had a dream of a bright tomorrow. In 1973, just 38 years ago, the Lubavitcher Rebbe had a dream to illuminate the world and bring a message of freedom to our modern world and society. You might find it interesting that the first public menorah was lit in San Francisco. The following year, in Central Park in New York City, and today, 38 years later, public menorah displays and lighting ceremonies worldwide are welcomed and celebrated by presidents, prime ministers, premiers, mayors, and by people of different backgrounds and who differ in philosophy and politics, but are united in the message of Hanukkah and freedom. 23 years ago, Alberta and Calgary joined this bright and happy dream. Amongst the main dreamers were our own Harold Finkelman and then newly elected mayor, our good friend Al Dewar. That dream expanded, as we just heard, to Edmonton, and this year for the first time to Saskatoon. I must thank each and every one of the partners, participants, of course Shah TV, Calgary City Hall, our leadership at all government levels for joining and making this dream a reality, including our own Prime Minister Harper for blessing and gracing the menorah lightings on a yearly basis, including his participation in this community menorah lighting just a short 3 years ago. Minister Kenny, 3 years ago we missed you as you were stuck in a snowstorm, not in Calgary but in Vancouver. But your dream of bringing justice and freedom to our country is an inspiration to me and keeps me awake. Finally, Mayor Nancy, thank you and your staff for hosting this dream in this atrium. So as we, each and every one of us, watches these candles and this dream of freedom unfold in front of our own eyes, I invite and encourage everyone to join me and dream of the impossible. Start with a dream of making a positive change in your own life, neighborhood, and community. Initially, your dream might not be popular, and at times even met with opposition. Don't stop. The candle of light, warmth, truth, ultimate freedom, and godliness will prevail. One added act of goodness and kindness will usher us in the ultimate dream of a brighter tomorrow, in very soon the Messianic era, the era of the ultimate goodness and kindness. It is my greatest honor to introduce and invite a special woman in our community. This year has been incredible for Premier Redford, filled with great joy as well as with great sadness, and also with a great sense of success and accomplishment. We are so delighted that you could be with us here tonight. In just a few short months, Premier Redford has demonstrated tremendous leadership by working hard to pass important legislation and by demonstrating that not only does she listen to people, but she is willing to follow up and lead. Ladies and gentlemen, Premier Alison Redford.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today with so many community leaders, with families, and with all of these wonderful children who are celebrating culture, faith, and family at this very important time of year. For me personally, it's a pleasure to be here to commemorate the 23rd lighting of the menorah and to hear the words that we've talked about today: freedom, hope, light. We live in a wonderful province, and we live in a wonderful province because of the people that live in our province and make up our community. And it's been a privilege for me over the past 3 years, as I know it has been for many people here, to be able to work in partnership with the Jewish community in many parts of how we build our province and our city. It's important for us publicly to take the time to honor and thank the members of the Jewish community in Calgary and in the province of Alberta who have been so important to the past of our province, to the present of our province, and to the future of our province. And to think that this ceremony commemorates something that happened over 2,000 years ago speaks to the strength of character that you bring to everything that you do. I must say that as a Calgarian, as an Albertan, as a fellow Calgarian and Albertan, it is a pleasure for us to share this with you, and I thank you so much for allowing all of the province to learn and to be part of this ceremony. So thank you so much. It's such an important time of year. I hope that during this season, through prayer, with family, and with friends, that we continue to renew ourselves, to remember what matters to all of us, and to thank you for reminding us that faith and hope and light will prevail and make all of us stronger people. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much, Premier Redford. I now have the honor to introduce the great mayor of this great city. And it really is one of the greatest cities in the world, and there aren't many people who champion this more so than our mayor. He's an advocate for the acceptance and inclusion of all people, and he's a terrific person. Last year we gave Mayor Nenshi a purple yarmulke, and it's nice to see that he's wearing it again this year. So please welcome our mayor, Your Worship, Nahid Nenshi. That was pretty good. It was very good.
I think I want a musical introduction every time I start to speak. So Florence, are you guys available generally? And the other question I have for you, if you've been doing this for 21 years, I'm just doing the math here. So you started with the Akiva Academy Children's Choir is what you're saying. Just making sure. Rabbi Rebbetzin, I get drum rolls too. Premier, Minister, honored guests, friends, welcome to your City Hall. Welcome to this wonderful room, this wonderful place where we come together as a community to celebrate those things that make community so incredibly important. I am so happy that so many of my City Council colleagues, I won't introduce them all, but so many of them were able to come and celebrate again with us today. I'd like to speak personally for a moment. Josh stole my thunder a little bit because I wanted to tell you about my kippah. This is one of the things that I treasure the most from the first year that I've been honored enough to be in this role. And the reason I treasure it so much is because one of the truly magnificent things about my last year has been the incredible warmth with which I have been embraced by Calgary's Jewish community. It's not everywhere in the world that a Muslim mayor would be embraced with such warmth and such generosity by the Jewish community. And I think that it speaks to who we are as Calgarians that this has happened. And I have been so privileged and so honored for so long, for a whole year, with all of the interactions I've had with the Jewish community, from the conversations that we've had about tikkun olam, about repairing the world, and how we can do that together, to, of course, the wonderful honor bestowed on me by the B'nai B'rith Lodge just a few weeks ago. And again, I say that not only because it means so much to me as a person, but it speaks so much to who we are as a community. And I think that that is really what is important, that we can come together and we can talk about something that is so important to people of the Jewish faith, about peace, about light, about faith, and about how we all work together to build that stronger community. And how we can do that in a place that is free of harassment, that is largely free of intolerance, that allows us to all come together. Let us never forget what an incredibly special place this country is, what an incredibly special place this province is, what an incredibly special place this city is. And let's together, as we celebrate Hanukkah, as we think about light and peace, let us gird our resolve and strengthen our resolve to always fight against the forces of intolerance and the forces of small-mindedness that would rend asunder what we have put together as a community. Let's make that pledge tonight. And let's make that pledge tonight in a spirit of great joy. Because for us to be able to celebrate Hanukkah together is a time of joy. It's a time of celebration for our families and for our community and for what we have built together. So in the words of our faiths, Shalom, Salam, I wish you all peace.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I would now like to introduce again Akiva Academy, and they will be singing Amcha Yisrael. Very good. Excellent. Thank you very much, Akiva. Before concluding the evening, because we're about to do that, I'd like to make you all aware of Project Warmth Society of Alberta. It's an organization of which Chabad Lubavitch is a partner, and Project Warmth collects, cleans, and delivers items of warm clothing to those in need. There are bins set up near the atrium, and any donation you can make is much appreciated, and it will go a long way in helping the community. So again, thank you all for joining us today, and in particular, I'd like to thank our sponsors, the City of Calgary, our dignitaries, Shaw TV, in particular Ed and Brianne, Simon Apter, Rabbi Altine, and Chabad.org, the CJA and Akiva Academy choirs, Take the Oi Train, all the dedicated volunteers, and all you viewers watching at home. I'd like to remind all the children that there will be Hanukkah Gelt cards, just like this, with some treats for when you leave the atrium. Now, let's all rejoice with singing and dancing, led by Take the Oi Train and Yudi. Yudi, there he is. And he has a set of pipes on him. And they will lead us in a wonderful rendition of Anim Anim. Happy Hanukkah.
The face of your community. Shaw TV, your local voice. The face of local